Trump says he wants to drive housing prices up, not down. Rob, if you got the clip on this, President Trump suggests during a cabinet meeting at the White House on Thursday that he wants to do this. Go ahead, Rob.
One of the things Scott said, though, is, again, existing housing, people that own their homes, we're going to keep them wealthy. We're going to keep those prices up. We're not going to destroy the value of their homes so that somebody that didn't work very hard can buy a home. We're going to make it easier to buy. We're going to get interest rates down. But I want to protect the people that for the first time in their lives feel good about themselves. They feel like that they're wealthy people. And I want them to understand it. There's so much talk about, we're going to drive housing prices down. I don't want to drive housing prices down. I want to drive housing prices up for people that own their homes. And they can be assured that's what's going to happen.
Brandon,
support
thoughts?
journalism.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely sounds like something that a real estate developer would say. I have a lot of love and respect for the president, but of course he doesn't want property prices to go down because that's the majority of where his wealth is held. And I respect that. That's understandable. And I understand that boomers, the vast majority of their wealth is held in real estate, but that shouldn't be the case. That's a fundamental flaw with society because of artificially low interest rates. That's why people treat their house like their pride and joy, their biggest asset, but that shouldn't be the case. If we had a free market that allowed interest rates to be where they should be, people would be able to save money in a bank account that compounds over time, and that would be their biggest source of an asset or in savings. It wouldn't have to be their house. The reason that people have such a low savings account or rely on their house to be their biggest asset is because of these artificially low interest rates that we've had. So I don't think the problem is the low interest rates, or the high interest rates like he keeps saying. I think interest rates should be up more so that prices can be down more because rates were like 10, 20% in the 80s and 90s, and it still took less of an average salary to buy an average priced house than it does today. Does that make sense?
That's the issue.
So Jeff, I have a different position here, but I want to hear your thoughts.
Well, that's the issue right there. The problem is income's not interest rates. First of all, his response was about this idea that he's going to ban Wall Street from buying single-family homes,
which
not
should happen.
Yeah, but the reason why it happened is what nobody wants to talk about. The reason why Wall Street and BlackRock and all these funds came to buy so many single-family homes, especially in 2021 and 2022, was because BlackRock and Wall Street can get any type of loans and funding that they want.
Mm-hmm.
Regular Americans can't. They're being shut out of the mortgage market because they don't have the jobs, they don't have the income, they don't qualify FICO scores. This is the legacy of the 2008 crisis. And the Trump administration is at least listening to people and saying, how do we make housing more affordable? The natural response to that from Wall Street was, if you ban BlackRock from the housing market, housing prices are going to crash. And so Trump was just saying, look, we're not trying to crash housing prices. We're just trying to solve a problem that was existing, and this is the way we think we can do it. I don't think it can, but that's at least what he was saying. Housing prices were driven artificially high because of all the pandemic excesses and imbalances to begin with. I mean, they were driven higher in the 2010s, but the 2020s really pushed prices way up and out of the reach of everyday Americans who don't have the jobs and incomes to be able to pay for these higher prices. So I'm kind of with Brandon here that I think prices would need to come down to be more affordable, or the better option would be to have a better jobs market where people can get paid more and therefore can be able to pay for higher prices. But the issue here is there's no easy answer.
That would push prices up too, though, if people had more money.
Eventually.
But I will tell you, for people who can afford, and you can afford to buy, okay? You're not somebody that can't afford to buy. For people that can't afford to buy, these are two separate problems. For the people that can't afford to buy, that are waiting for a massive fall to get a deal, I think that's also a mistake.
Right, yeah.
Okay? For the people that can afford to buy, I remember, you know what? For example, the property we bought, right? We're in the auction, and I'm in the final round of the auction with these other people who are all running multi-billion-dollar companies. They're not running $100 million companies. Mm-hmm. They're running multi-billion-dollar companies. They can afford to buy the property that we bought. That's not a challenge for them to buy. The moment we bought it, that property we bought cash for 25.2. Every one of those guys could have bought it except for maybe one or two of them. They didn't. What was the opportunity? Probably lost 15 to 25 million bucks. Yeah. Depending on a location like that. You're not going to find a location like that. Right. Two hangars on the airport, all this stuff. In many cases, I've been on the other side where I said I don't know about this. I don't know about this. I don't know about this. I missed out and I lost millions of dollars if I would have bought it. So to me, the idea of you can afford and you want to live in a place long term, minimum for me is 5 years. If you're buying something right now for 18 months to 36 months, I'm probably not buying in Florida 18 months to 36 months. But if I'm going to be living there for 5 to 10 years, let's just say I buy something and in 3 years and 4 years, I'm going to buy something else, but I'll rent that out, so I'm going to keep it for myself for 10 plus years, I would buy.
Yeah.
That's the challenge. Because even though you may be right to say they are overpriced, you don't dictate it. The market does. And you are the market, but you're one individual. If the market sits there and says, look, people are coming to Florida from a bunch of places that they're making money. I remember the first time when we moved to Texas, and everybody was like, Tom's like, we're moving to Plano, we're moving to Plano. I'm like, Tom, what is Plano? This is 12 years ago we're talking. I said, what's Plano? Oh, you have to look at what Plano is. Plano is this, Plano is that, Plano is this. Never in a million years would I move to Plano. And I'm like, hey, I think we're going to move to Texas. I started talking about moving to Texas 15 years ago, but not Plano. I was just saying Texas. Could be Houston, could be Austin. And then he sold me on Plano, and then we went and met with Governor Perry. Then we moved there. Automatically, people are like, wait a minute. I got a bump in my salary, but I got a decrease in my expenses. But to the people who live in Texas and Plano, guess what they said? Dude, cost of living in Plano's increased. Not to us.
Yeah.
Because we moved from California.
Exactly.
So the people that are moving here from D.C., from Chicago, from New York, you know what they're saying? Oh, my God, this place is so cheap.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, this is so great. That's what they're feeling. So you have a choice. You either have to sit there and say, are people going to stop coming to Florida? I think the answer is no. If they're going to did you see what happened to the house that Ken Griffin bought? Rob, can you go back to what happened to Ken Griffin's house in Palm Beach? You just had the story up a minute ago. You know what Ken Griffin's house in Palm Beach is worth now? Look at this. Click on that. Click on that. Ken Griffin plans to build the most expensive home on earth, $1 billion mega estate. He's building $1 billion estate in Palm Beach.
Jeez.
$1 billion home. Did you ever think this quickly there's going to be $1 billion home in Palm Beach? Yup, that's what Ken Griffin is building. So what do you think that's going to do to his neighbors? You think his neighbors are sitting there saying, oh, Ken, don't say $1 billion. Say 38 million, right? Because I don't want the taxes. Or are they sitting there saying, babe, you realize this crazy guy's going to build $1 billion home. Our $60 million home is about to be $140 million. Go, Ken. Go, Ken. Go build this home. We love you. Tom, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, they're going to be inviting him for dinner while his house is being built. Your kitchen's not built yet. Drop by. We're so glad to see you. Irving, and come on down the kitchen. Ken's here. I think this is great. I think the discussion is great. Now, the outcome in getting there is difficult. Brandon, I love you, and I wish I had a DeLorean with a flux capacitor that I could take you back a few years so you could buy the house. But what is going on here? We need three things. Why do these things always come in three? Number one, we need more supply of affordable housing, A. B, we need a more relaxed permitting process so that safe, compliant homes can be made. Two things. So we need people to invest in buying homes, but we also need an easier permitting process. And then the third thing, Jeff's right. We need more companies like D-Wave bringing $125,000 a year jobs down to Florida so that the Brandons and other people who are capable and educated and ready for those jobs can go, hey, I got this great job at D-Wave, and look what I found out in West Deerfield. Great school out there, newer schools are out there, and I found a home track where some things were built. We need all three things together. So when Jeff says it's not an easy answer, it's a complicated execution to get there. It's like the doctor saying you need chemotherapy, then we're going to do a surgery to remove your prostate, unfortunately, and then you need a complete change in diet. That's an easy explanation. The chemotherapy is going to suck. That's like the building of the new houses. The surgery is quick. That's like changing the permit laws. If you could get somebody to just change it, and now we pass new permitting. And then the recovery phase is like building high income. It's difficult, but it's not insurmountable. And it's got to start today. And the permitting process is number one. And when you've got Ken Griffin and other people down here, all we need is civic leadership. All we need is better civic leadership. And I'll tell you, we've joked about this for a while. I would love to be mayor of Fort Lauderdale because you have a vision. I would love to just hitch my wagon to that vision. And I have a vision. I went to high school down here in South Florida, as you know, Pat. And we would love to be part of the solution. So we're not just howling at the moon.
Are you really announcing it now, Tom?
No, I'm saying
We've been talking about this for 5 years,
No.
but the announcement would have been and by the way,
I'm
we're
not
actually
announcing.
not
I'm saying I'd
joking.
love to do it.
No, we're not joking. We eventually, not right now, but in a minute, we may be getting behind Tom to possibly, and by the way, if we get into the race, it's not even a question of what's going to happen. We would have a lot of fun with it. But
My point is,
by the way,
that we want to be part of the solution.
If you do support and you want to see maybe Tom and you have some thoughts on him running for mayor in Fort Lauderdale, then maybe connect him. Rob, can you pull up his Connect QR code and maybe send some things down here in Fort Lauderdale which you're not happy about? Send him a Connect right there and tell him what you're thinking about. Anyways, I'm not even saying send it as a help to run or anything. Just if you want to communicate with him and encourage him to do it or not do it. Gang, once a year we host an event called the Sales Leadership Summit. If you're a sales leader running a business and you want to find out how is the most effective way to move your revenue, watch this clip about the event that's coming up with Sales Leadership Summit. Go ahead, Rob.
Say you're a CEO, you're a boss, you're an executive, you're a leader. Which of these 4 feelings do you want your employees or your sales team to feel the most? Do you want them to like you? Do you want them to trust you? Do you want them to respect you? Or do you want them to fear you? And if I was to ask you to order them and say, I think I want them to like me first, then I want them to trust me, then I want them to respect me, I don't want them to fear me, right? This whole thing that we're talking about. Developing salespeople and a big sales team, which can exponentially increase the valuation of your company, your income, your lifestyle. This is a big problem to solve. You have to get these 4 things in order while you're developing people. Once a year, I host a conference called the Sales Leadership Summit, which is purely about developing salespeople. And we go through this 200-page manual together. This year, we're doing it at the Trump Doral from March 25th to the 27th. And that dynamic of like, trust, respect, and fear is one of the ones that creates a lot of debate. If you want to find out how you can attend this event, click on a link below, get registered. One of our consultants will get a hold of you.
All right. Having said that, click on a link below. This is you have to qualify to attend. You need to do a minimum of $1 million and have 5 people on your sales team to attend this conference. But the link is below. Click on it. Talk to our consultants. They will tell you all about it. Cannot wait to see many of you there this year at Trump Doral.
If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.